fill out the feedback form. The link for the same will be posted later in the Q&A box. The link to join tomorrow's session is available on the website. Please note, certificates will be awarded only to those participants who have attended both sessions and duly filled out the form for both days. Thank you. Respected Principal Sir, Dr. Rishikesh Soman Sir, Vice Principal, Dr. Tessie Teratil Ma'am, Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Parag Kalkar, Dean of Commerce and Management, Savitribai Phule, Pune University, speakers, teachers, and of course, my dear audience. A very good morning to one and all present here. I, Ekta, warmly welcome you all to the two-day national webinar on dynamism in the human market today and tomorrow, presented to you by the Department of Commerce, Symbiosis College of Arts and Commerce. So now I request Mrs. Tripti Sharma, Assistant Professor in Commerce, to welcome our distinguished guests and participants to this webinar. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks a lot, Ekta. A very good morning to all of you present here. Humankind has made this world a dynamic society where something which is new and useful today becomes obsolete tomorrow. With unprecedented events like the COVID-19 pandemic, the last year has been a roller coaster ride with a plethora of events from the great churn to the adaptation of a new work culture. We have to compete in this world in which nothing is constant and nothing holds value for, let's say, more than a couple of months. This webinar aims to provide an opportunity to listen to experts in order to discuss, deliberate, and introspect on various important topics to create an ecosystem that shall prepare the current generation to not only take on the daunting challenges in the future, but surpass them entirely and set a new benchmark every single day. This webinar is a two-day event which is going to happen today and tomorrow. It has been divided into basically 4 sessions, of which our guest speaker for the first session on the great churn is Ms. Suchita Vasu, and for the second session on work-life balance is Dr. Arpita Kaul. The third and the fourth sessions will commence tomorrow. Over to you, Ekta.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your welcome address. I would now like to request our principal, Dr. Rishikesh Soman Sir, to kindly address the audience and enlighten us with a few words.
Good morning, everybody. I sincerely welcome all the dignitaries and the audience for this two-day national webinar. I at the outset sincerely thank Dr. Parag Kalkar for accepting our invitation and kind enough to be part of our national webinar. Similarly, I also thank all the speakers today and tomorrow for accepting our invitation and making this particular webinar possible. The subject is very interesting, the topic is very interesting, and I'm sure that students will get a lot of benefit from the experts, as well as today's chief guest, Dr. Parag Kalkar, also will be sharing his thoughts. And this dynamics is changing, and instead of I speaking on that at length, I think we should be listening to the speakers first, because anyway, I'm available to our students and I can certainly talk to them on this particular topic at any time. But nevertheless, we are more keen and interested in knowing the opinions of the experts on this particular topic. So I wish all the success to the webinar, and I welcome once again Dr. Parag Kalkar and all the speakers, and of course the audience for this webinar. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. So now I'm profusely elated to take the opportunity to introduce our chief guest for the day, Dr. Parag Kalkar, Dean of Commerce and Management, Savitribai Phule, Pune University. On behalf of Symbiosis, I thank him for providing his gracious presence to join us today and inaugurate the webinar. So now I invite Dr. Parag Kalkar to enlighten the audience with his words before we proceed with the event. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a happy moment to be with Symbiosis College of Arts and Commerce, Honorable Dr. Rishikesh Soman sir, Suchitra Singh Basu, all the audience, teachers and organizers. Sir, it's not to say because I am opening this seminar, but I think this topic which you have chosen is very important topic in the human market today and tomorrow. I think it will give you many insight with all eminent speakers who are present here. We all are aware now today also, normally when we work in a physical mode and when we are there, we have some impact out of a personality. And I thought that because of the pandemic, we have gone to this all online mode, WebEx or Zoom or Google Meet and all these things. So the kind of personality we carry, that is, in my words, which I've used, it's 6 feet to 6 inches. Your personality is in the window. So you are not able to create an impression. When you meet your boss, when you shake your hands and when you talk, there is a lot of impression, non-verbal communication will get created. I think your limitation, how much impression you can create in this 6-inch window, I think that is more important. Work-life balance is become very important because I'm aware that Hinjawadi and Kharadi, in spite of a lot of pressure from the companies, people are not ready to work because they are more comfortable working at home. 95% people are not coming to the job every day. And a recent Harvard study reveals that the future of work will be 3:2:2. 3 days you will work from home. 2 days you may go to your work to meet some client or sign some document, conduct some physical meeting if they are required. And 2 days definitely you will require an holiday or a weekend to spend with your family, because that has become on the forefront. Our health has become on forefront. Our family is on our forefront. And then earning and other things at the back end. One more thing which I have observed in recent thing, that since we are working at a distance, we are not physically present to deal with each other. We have forgotten interpersonal relation. So there are a lot of issues which happen when we come personally, because our personality, because we deal mechanically when we are online. We do our work. So the employers or employees who are working online, when they come in offline mode, there are a lot of issues and challenges, egos and clashes, and so many things happen. Because we do our work and go away. There is no worry about it. But if the opportunity come physical mode, there are a lot of challenges which will be faced, a lot of stress will get created, because we know that we are more comfortable of attending the webinar or participating on online mode. Suddenly, we have reduced that the traveling time and the discussion time. If I have to attend the seminar on physical mode, I have to travel maybe on half an hour, be there 15-20 minutes before, and after seminar also we'll have a cup of tea with the dignitaries, and so 2.5 hours, which can be reduced to 15 minutes. So our mindset also has been changed. So a lot of things which are coming as a new work culture now. People are preferring task-oriented approach rather than full-time assignment, liability also. So they are more interested basically in the IT field or a software field. They want to get task, complete the task, get paid. Nobody should bother that what time you have come to the office, you have a biometric fingerprint, you're present there, you're not chit-chatting with anybody. But on the other side, I think a lot of things happen over a cup of coffee. When we meet people, when we greet people, when we talk with the people, I think human relation we have forgotten. I'll not take much time. The one quote which I would like to get, now machines are trying to become human beings, that we call machine learning or artificial intelligence. And now humans are becoming like a machines. Our emotions are becoming like a machine, because somebody else in this country or somebody else in this world is deciding today is this day. Today is a Mother's Day. So your emotions should flow towards mother. You should care about your mother on this day. So our emotions are getting controlled. So a lot of things are happening and around. So new dynamics is taking place. I think this 2 days conference will definitely give few more insight. At the end of the day, you become a manager in marketing, HR, finance, everything, human relation, how you handle human being at your family front and in your business front is most important for your success and failure. And nowadays we have to talk about the happiness also. How happy we are at the end of the day is more important. So I think all insight will definitely give us some new dimension of human life. So I would like to thank Symbiosis College of Arts and Commerce, Soman sir and their team for inviting me for the inaugural session. I declare the seminar is open. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And definitely, sir, especially the 6 feet to 6 inches part, a very interesting phrase, and I believe we students we relate to it the most. So, thank you so much, sir, for your inspiring words. So, with this, we now arrive at the most awaited segment of the day, our discussion with our esteemed speakers. So, before I introduce the first speaker, I would like to iterate that we will have a Q&A session after the end of the discussion. So, kindly drop in your queries in the Q&A box. So it is with immense pleasure that.
Ekta, can I disturb you for a minute?
Sure, sir.
Okay. Is it okay if any of us would like to leave the meeting and do some other work?
Please, yes, sir. It's all
Okay.
right.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
So,
everybody. Thank you. Parag sir, you can also leave if you want.
thank you, sir. So it is with immense pleasure that I introduce our first speaker for the day, Shuchita Singh Basu. Shuchita is a senior HR professional working as group head of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs for 70 countries at the French IT multinational Atos Group. Prior to this, she has spent almost 2 decades of her career working in human resources in areas like organization development, employee experience, and partnering with business leaders across the globe. She is a DEI ally for all diverse groups, including the LGBTQ plus community, people with disabilities, neurodivergent groups, women professionals, and is a firm believer in psychological safety as a driver for cultures where innovation and knowledge flourish. She is an active member of the Lean Inner Network in Pune and is also an academic council member for the SP Jain's management program. Shuchita comes from a very strong academic background with an MBA in Human Resources from Symbiosis Center for Management and Human Resource Development, Pune, a learning and development certification program from Cornell University, USA, and is also a senior certified professional from Society of Human Resource Management, USA, and is currently pursuing an accelerated management program from McKinsey's Asian Leadership Academy. Ma'am, a very warm welcome to you, and we are incredibly excited to have you here amongst us to share your thoughts about the great churn. Following which, we can delve into a very interactive session. So, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. One quick question. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, perfectly audible.
All right, fantastic. There was a presentation that I would like to show. So would somebody be sharing it for me, or should I try and
Yes.
share it myself?
Just a minute, ma'am.
So while we are trying to get my presentation up, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm very, very excited to be speaking to all of you. Obviously, it would have been much better if I was able to speak to you in person, and that is something I really, really enjoy doing. I enjoy mentoring young students, especially young women professionals, visiting colleges and speaking to students because I find the energy really exciting. And as you grow older, you feel the need for rebalancing your energy levels time to time. So that's one I really missed all of meeting all of you in person. But anyway, we'll get going and try and do the best we can as soon as my presentation comes up. I can try and share it. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am. If you want, you can go ahead and share it. And in case of any technical difficulties, we'll help you out.
Yeah, I can do that. Okay, let me try and do that.
Thank you.
Okay, you'll have to tell me if you can see this. Can you see
Yes,
it?
ma'am. The presentation.
Can you
I'll let you know when. Yes, it's perfectly visible now.
Okay, all right. I have put it on slideshow. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, can you see my next slide?
Yes,
I'm
I
trying
can.
to change slides. Okay,
Yes,
all right.
yes.
Okay,
It's
thank you.
visible. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. So these tech checks have become a very regular feature these days, right? I mean, you have to do your tech checks before you get going. So thank you for all the support. Right. So I think the topic that I was requested to speak on today was the great churn. Now, what happened during the pandemic? I represent, as you would have heard from my introduction, I work for the IT services industry. I work for an organization called Atos, and they do the similar kind of work that you would have seen other Indian IT services companies doing, like Infosys or Wipro or Cognizant, any of those. Um, Most people we employ are what we call white collar workers or knowledge workers, wherein they can work remotely, they can work from their homes, provided they have the right tech support to do so. There are a lot of things missing when you start working remotely or you start working in a hybrid manner, as Dr. Kill nicely pointed out in his talk, in his inaugural talk just before me. But I will also give you another perspective on how it affects employees. How is it going to affect someone like you, who would soon become job seekers in the talent market shortly, in maybe a year or two? So essentially, the great churn was this is what we call the great churn. Everybody from May 2021, once they realize that the pandemic is going to be a way of life and it is not something that is going to go away soon, and it's not something which is like a band where people are staying home for just 3 or 4 months and will be back in office. um, Almost 41% of the global workforce. This is basically the statistics for predictive statistics for 2022. 41% of the global workforce are likely to look for another jobs are likely to consider leaving their employees within the next year. 46% are planning to make major pivots or career transitions. We are going to talk about both. We are going to talk about why is it that people want to leave their jobs and start joining another organization, or looking forward to joining another organization. And also, which is more disturbing, is why are they planning to make major pivots or career transitions in their careers? Mhm. Yeah, during the pandemic, this is really what happened, and I'm sure all of you also would have gone through something similar. Uh, we also call it the great resignation or the great reassessment, because of the sheer number of people who were reassessing their lives and the sheer number of people who were just resigning from their jobs. There were a lot of people who took some very harsh decisions to start doing something completely different to what they were doing earlier. Employees were questioning everything. What do I want to do? Who do I want to work for? What growth opportunities do I have? Where do I want to work? Is this organization meeting my is am I being able to fulfill my sense of purpose? What is the purpose of the company I'm working for? Is it aligned to my sense of purpose? Is it doing things which I would like an organization I work for doing? And what is my company doing for us as an employee as a result of whatever happened in the last 1.5 years? From the health perspective, which is your well-being, your mental health, your work-life balance, all of that. Economic perspective, are you being paid enough for what you do? Uh, uh, or are your pay levels comparable to other companies in the same industry? And social, what kind of opportunities do I get to interact, to grow within the organization? So employees are questioning every single thing, usually typically in the humdrum of life, when people get up in the morning, get ready, get into work for 8, 10, 12, 14 hours, get back to work, get back home in the evening, and then basically use the weekend to recharge and catch up on their errands and sleep and doing whatever else they have to do, their hobbies or leisure activities. And then get back to work on Monday. That was really the humdrum of life that people went through for many, many years before actually stopping and stepping back and rethinking, what are they doing, why are they doing it, is this what they really want to do? So this became very worrying for organizations, because most organizations assume that if you pay your employees well, if you provide them a great atmosphere to work in, pay if you give them some sort of a decent work-life balance, they would continue working for you. But one of the things that most organizations didn't think about is whether employees would start looking at the sense of purpose. What do we stand for as an organization? I'll give you an example. We conduct surveys in our organization, and the company that I work for, Atos, is very, very uh, in the decarbonization and climate change space. We are really very big. We have a full section of the organization which is dedicated, a full business unit in the organization which is basically dedicated in helping other organizations manage their net carbon emissions. We call it the net zero transformation practice, where they basically help each organization calculate what is the carbon impact that they are creating end to end. For example, if it's a food beverage company, they will also start with how your uh, how your produce is being grown on the farms, and so on. Or if it's an IT services company, they will also see what are the kind of organizations that you are procuring printers from, that you're procuring laptops from, that you're procuring anything and everything that you need to run an office from, and what is their net zero impact. So they have these very complicated exercises that they do where they help organizations calculate this and then go and provide consulting to these organizations on how they should improve the carbon footprint. Many people in my organization that I represent today here are very feel very strongly about environment protection, about climate change, and so on. And that is why they feel that their sense of purpose of being aligns to what the company is doing. So these are the kind of questions that a lot of employees are asking of a lot of their organizations. And this is not very easy for an organization to fix overnight for them. Finally, coming to you, what does it mean for the job seeker? Many of you will be in the job market very soon, maybe in a year, 2 years or so. What is it that I would recommend to you? As a professional, I have done hiring, I have managed careers, I have run development programs for people at various levels for many years. And this is what I have seen. People when end up making career choices based on what they feel is expected from them, or what they feel is glamorous, what they feel is something which is trendy. They rarely stop by to think about what is it that they want to do, what is it that makes them happy. This is essentially what happens when you choose to do something which you are not okay with. As you can see on the screen, there is something, you can see uh, this diagram which shows something called the flow. Flow is typically a situation where your work doesn't seem like work, and it is also a zone where if you are working in this zone, you will produce the best work. Your productivity will be highest, you will be less stressed, and so on. When do you get into the flow? You get into the flow typically when the skills and the capability or the competencies that you have and the challenges or the complexity of work that you have is in sync. Okay, when you talk about skills, it is not just skills, it is also what you want to do, what interests you. And what interests you, if you don't find that challenging, or you are enjoying the challenges that what you do brings with it, it is essentially a situation where you are liking what you're doing. And this is not easy to achieve. You don't have to necessarily choose what the most popular person in your class is trying to do. There are jobs for everybody. There are jobs for people who are not popular. There are jobs for people who are introverts. They are, this is a talent market where talent is highly in short supply. There will always be a space for anyone, provided it is something that you are interested in. If you want to become a music producer, you cannot do that overnight. You have to work towards it. You have to understand the industry. You have to learn the skills that are required, and somewhere during that during that process, if you feel that this is something that you want to do and you like doing, you will end up producing your best work that you would have done if you were doing a normal corporate 9 to 5 job in a bank or in an IT company or so on. So finding your mojo is, I feel, one of the most critical aspects of anything that you need to think about. You can talk to your friends, you can talk to your cousins, you can talk to your siblings, your parents, your teachers. Ask them what they feel, what they think you do the best. And that is something that you should build into an interest into a career. Again, it has to be something you like so much that you can continue working in this field or in this broader field over a long period of time. The skills that you need to continue working may change. There would be more automation, there will be more technology involved, and so on. But if you generally like being in a particular field and the domain that you are in interests you, then you will manage to deal with all the challenges that come and all the upgrading of skills that you need to do along the way. What you can see on the screen is a 3-stage model and a multi-stage life. Okay, 3-stage model is what our parents went through. Three-stage model is what many of our grandparents went through. If they worked 96 jobs, essentially their lives would start with education. They would go to colleges, they would go to schools, they would complete their education. Then, basis what they studied, they would get a job somewhere at some organization. Many of our parents, many of our grandparents continue to work for the same organization for the rest of their lives, or maybe in some cases would have changed one or two jobs, and then finally they retired. That is not how career paths are going to look like. That is not how work life is going to look like anymore going forward. It is going to be a multi-stage life where education is going to be something that will run through for most of your life. So you do your education, you do the exploration. What is exploration? There are times when people go to colleges, do courses, want to explore themselves, want to explore more of the world. They'll take up an internship, they'll take on a part-time job, or sometimes just take the year off if you can afford to basically try and discover what is it that they actually like to do. Then you get employed in an organization. Then you might transition into self-employment. You might even continue doing that, or you might come back to work full time in an organization. And then maybe you could also do a mix of paid and unpaid work. For example, what I'm doing today, spending 2 hours here with maybe an hour or so with you, is unpaid work, but that's something I enjoy doing. I enjoy talking to students, that I enjoy interacting with students, I enjoy mentoring young women professionals. So while most of this work that I do is unpaid, but that is something that I enjoy doing, and I have blended it into my work life. There are a lot of people who volunteer. I have seen a lot of people working for environmental groups, for example. They do cleaning drives, they do plantation drives. All of that is unpaid work. There are people who are volunteer in orphanages. There are people who volunteer for, say, drug abuse companies, where they go and spread awareness on drug abuse with young people, with different groups of individuals, and so on. There are people who are, say, from the LGBTQ community, who are very, very well integrated into their networks. So if they have managed to deal with who they are and accepted who they are, they go and talk about this and their stories to other people who can learn from their experiences and help them in whichever way they can. All of this is unpaid. People don't get paid for this, but they still do that because you come to a stage in life where you want to do something that makes you happy. You want to give back to society in some way or the other, in a way that you think you can contribute the best. So, and then you finally retire. Typically, what is going to happen is, if you saw our parents or grandparents retiring at 60 or 65, you are not going to retire at 60 or 65. You are possibly going to work till you're 75. Health conditions have improved in our country. Incomes have improved in our country. So the access to healthcare remains. The access to a better life exists. The entire world is working towards making our planet a more environmentally safe place to live in. So in all probabilities, if these efforts work, you will possibly live in a cleaner environment than I did or my parents did. If that happens, you end up living longer, you're active longer. So you should not look at your career as something that you're going to be doing for 30 years, 40 years. Careers can span to up to 50 years, which basically means that you have the opportunity of doing something else 12 years. You can change career tracks. You can look at doing something different. Obviously, you have to de-risk it. For example, if you have EMIs, you have loans, you've got married, you have kids, all of that, you have to account for all of these things when you start looking at doing something different to what you were doing earlier. Because, as I said, it takes time to build up a career and to start flourishing. Non-linear career paths, there is no concept of a career ladder anymore. Nobody goes from one step to the second step to the third step. You will move this way, mostly. This is how you move up. Okay. This is some of the interesting workplace trends which I thought I will talk about. I'm basically coming to the end of my presentation, but these are some of the workplace trends which I thought would be interesting for you to know as potential job seekers. One is the remote working and hybrid working, which our inaugural speaker spoke about today. Our Honorable Dean from Pune University spoke about today, is going to become a way of life. But again, this is going to become a way of life only for knowledge workers, for people who can afford to work remotely, people who are working in hotels, restaurants, travel industry, um, manufacturing sometimes. They cannot afford to work from home. They cannot afford to work remotely or hybrid. Yes, there are roles in these organizations also for people who would like to work remotely or would like to work hybrid. But otherwise, this category is only for those few handful of people. I won't say handful, but that section of our population or office goers who work in what is called the knowledge industry, consulting companies, IT companies, those kind of organizations. Expansion of gig economy. I was on this seminar with two or three very senior HR professionals some time back, and somebody spoke about gig economy, and then all of us started talking about how we don't see any of our children doing 9 to 6 jobs. And all of us had children who were in college. My son is finishing undergrad, like all of you. I cannot imagine him doing a 9 to 6 job. I cannot imagine him getting up in the morning, getting ready, packing his dabba, and getting to work with a laptop. I cannot imagine him doing that, and neither could any of the other colleagues that I was speaking with that day. None of them could also imagine their kids doing this. Essentially, gig economy gives you an opportunity to do what you like without taking on additional responsibilities. Number one. Number two, gigs are like, they are uh, short-term assignments or long-term assignments that you do on a contract basis, which basically means you don't need to become a full-time employee of an organization. You can do this for very, very highly specialized skills. If you build skills which are not in high demand, if you build skills which you know where the gig economy is catching up, like for example, if you work in the high technology areas in IT, you would possibly be able to work as a gig worker, because those are skills which are high in demand, and organizations will do anything to get people like that to come and work for them. Also, you can choose. You can work on a project for 3 months. You can take some time off, come back and work on a project for another 3 months or 6 months or 8 months, take some time off again, and so on. In our organization, there is somebody who likes sailing. This is what he does. In our organization, we have built our structures in such a way that it is possible for people in certain kind of roles to do something like this. They obviously have to be flexible about what kind of projects and opportunities they get when they come back. But the freedom that this gives them, working on and off sometimes, is more valuable to them than what they're doing in office 9 to 6 to basically sustain their families and their lives. Talent shortages will be in very, very high demand. When you look at your specialization, when you're passing out from this college, looking for jobs, part-time or otherwise, or looking for a master's education, very important for you to figure out what are those areas and what are the fields where there's a talent shortage. Do we have enough people in this field? Is it a highly specialized field? Is it something where you can get jobs easily? If you do something which is highly specialized, if you do something which is going to be a skill or a capability required for a growing industry, that is when you will be a hot pick for any organization. So you need to evaluate all that when you start looking for jobs. Automation and new age tech will create a different kind of job altogether. There are a lot of things which are repetitive in nature. Those kind of things will go away. If I had bought a flight ticket which I was trying to change, and I was trying to call a human being from that airline to change my ticket. I could not get through to a human being for 2 hours, because every time I tried to call a number, I would be redirected to a bot that the airline had built on its website. So I was supposed to ask my question to a bot. The bot was supposed to respond to me and tell me how I can sort out my problem. Finally, I asked the bot, I want to speak to a person, and somebody called me. So, but my case was a little complicated of what I was trying to do. But in a normal situation where you're just modifying a ticket or canceling it, I would not have ended up speaking to a person, right? And even then, when the person spoke to me, this person guided me on how to get my problem sorted out through the bot, which is there on the website. All those jobs that are being done by customer service agents, where they are answering the same kind of queries day in and day out. A lot of this work is done by call centers, business process outsourcing firms, and so on. These jobs are going to go over a period of time. They've already started going out. All of this will be automated using bots, using AI, using ML, and so on and so forth, right? And there will be new kind of jobs that will be created in the market. Very important for you to know what is it that will be created in the market, um, and align yourself and your career accordingly. Again, you can't ignore the environment anymore. The environment environmental factors, climatic factors are very, very important for every organization, for every human being on the planet. I know I'm harping on it a little too much, but I think it is very important that you, as young people, know that there is a that, that this is imperative for the planet, for the sustainability of the planet, and do something in your life or make some changes in your life which will help the environment become, which will help the, which will stop climate change the way we are seeing it today. So these are some of the workplace trends that have also emerged out of the great churn. It started sometime in May 2021. We don't expect it to stop anytime before the end of this year. And essentially, these are some of the trends which have emerged from that. There is, as I said, there's a place for everyone. If you start working remotely, if you work in hybrid working models, it is something that has worked very, very well for people who are introverts or people who are disabled. They did not have to socialize with people just for the heck of it, for what I call the neurodivergent talent. They didn't have to socialize with people if they didn't want to do it. They could still sit in the comfort of their homes and deliver what they had to deliver, earning a decent living at the same time. However, man is a social animal, social interaction is required, and organizations have actually employed plenty of methods to make sure that people do come into offices, that make sure that people do get a platform and an opportunity to interact with each other. Many organizations today run their own social media platforms. So just like you have a Facebook and a LinkedIn and Instagram and a Twitter, a lot of organizations are actually using similar messaging organizational social media platforms to allow their employees to connect on various levels. It could be a hobby club, it could be an interest group, it could be a work group even, where people sometimes don't always necessarily talk about work because it's outside formal email setup and so on. So there are the other thing which people or leaders or need to be very, very careful about is when you start working hybrid, when there are three people in office and three people who are not in office. One of the big worries that we have as an organization is to how to make the three who are not in office feel included. There will typically be people who live far away. There would typically be women who have young kids, or employees who are caregivers for old parents and so on. How do you include them? So what we are encouraging a lot of our managers to do is, even when you have three people in office and three people working from outside office locations, please organize your team meetings virtually so that you include everybody. Okay. Again, all this remote working, hybrid working, anything that I'm talking about is specific only to one or two industries. It does not apply for everybody. The world will get back uh, to working uh, in person, and we are already seeing that. The flights have opened up, business travel has started, a lot of things are happening. Manufacturing supply chains have resumed. The supply chains have had got hit big time, right? Because during the pandemic. So slowly all of that is picking up, though people are obviously creating alternative uh, material supply chains where they do not depend on just one part of the world for uh, being able to operate normally. So all of that will happen. We will do a rethink on globalization. We cannot do away with that completely. We will still continue importing from China and all of that. However, we will also create alternatives so that in case the supply chain comes to a halt, essential services, things which have to do with people's lives, which affect people's lives big time, do not, uh, you know, companies are still able to provide them and manufacture them. So I think with that, I come to the end of my presentation and we are open for questions now.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure listening to you. And I can totally relate to the airport example, the bot one. I've been in a very similar situation, so totally relate. So, yes, I have a few questions for you, ma'am. So, the first one is, how can employees improve the required work life balance, and what are the benefits focused on it?
One of the things that, the reason why we are even looking at hybrid models in knowledge industries is to provide people better work-life balance. When the commute time comes, for example, what we do is, it is not compulsory for everyone to come to office and work every day from office. They can choose to work from home. Many times when people are working from home, they also end up having a lighter day because you are not in a lot of in-person meetings, and you don't have the social obligation to keep sitting in a meeting room and not do anything else when you attend these meetings are in person. So the hybrid model, one of the reasons why people are also looking at it is to ensure that people are not unnecessarily stressed doing what they do. A lot of companies are also beginning to focus on well-being of employees. When I say well-being, medical benefits were anyway provided by most good companies in India. There's always a medical insurance and all of that. Facilities on campus for people who come and work on campus and so on. But what we are also beginning to look at now, what we are also beginning to look at right now, is mental health of employees. We are beginning to become very, very conscious about, are they too stressed? Are they, about a lot of employees who might be facing a lot of anxiety, whether it is getting back to work or working remotely. They have, there has been a huge increase in the number of people who are depressed. And, so we are also looking at providing a lot of counseling services, a lot of support services for employees to be able to be able to also look after their mental health. And that is one of the big reasons why we are looking at remote and hybrid working, because we want people to go for a swim or a ride or a walk or a run in the middle of the workday if they want to. You can't always do it when you're working from office.
Thank you, ma'am. So we have one last question. So with increasing automation, what skills can make a person an asset to the organization?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. I'm glad you asked. And I wish I had put together a slide on that. I thought about it, but then I didn't do it. But that's a very, very good question that you've asked. As I said, you need to evaluate yourself and align yourself to the kind of demands, the opportunities, and the jobs that, uh, that are coming up. Jobs which are repetitive, jobs which are repetitive in nature mostly, are jobs which are going to get automated, or they will be AI, ML used to create uh, to, to create some kinds of tools and applications which will stop, which will move those jobs from manual to an automated job, and you will no longer need manual intervention. Essentially, the kind of skills that will be required of human beings. What you cannot do is you cannot replicate the way the human brain works. People are saying that humans are becoming machines, but you can't really do that. Um, the human brain is a very, very, you need to train your brain to think. The creative side of the brain, essentially, is something that can never be replicated. You can never automate it, because when you're automating something which has a pattern, which has a certain kind of response, a set response. But when you need to be creative, when you need to think out of the box, when you need to design something, that is something that you can't replicate, at least not yet, easily. So you have to look for jobs, for skills where you are able to leverage this part of your brain well. Anything which is analytical, anything which can be analytics to a certain extent, I won't really say broadly analytical. Analytics, the calculation part of analytics is something which you have more and more sophisticated tools that will do that. But what that means and how you're going to use that analysis for better decision making is something that cannot be outsourced. It cannot be automated. That is something where human intervention will be required. So you have to essentially look at things which can't be automated easily, which use the creative side of the brain, which uses your social side, empathy. Jobs, like for example, becoming a counselor. Okay, so if you become, say, a psychologist, or you become a counselor, or that is something that can't be replicated, because every case is different, every human being is different, everybody reacts to the same thing in different ways. This is not something that can be done by a bot. People have started creating bots, calming apps and things like that. Calm is very famous for people to listen to some soothing music and voices and all of that, and that has been known to reduce anxiety. When you're feeling, when you're hyperventilating before an exam or something, you might need something like that, or a big job interview, or something that is happening at work for people like me. It might help you temporarily, but long-term treatments, um, protocols and all of that. Those are things that cannot be automated.
So thank you so much, ma'am. Once again, it was a pleasure listening to you. And we are on our way to hunt for our mojo. And I think that's really a very interesting concept that most of us will definitely
Thank
inculcate.
you.
So yes, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much
And
for having me.
definitely, it was a pleasure having you. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So I would now like to announce that we will be having a 10-minute break, a very quick break. So quickly grab your snacks and make sure to be back by 12:40.
Well, hello and welcome back. I'm Tejas, your host and speaker for the afternoon session. On behalf of Department of Commerce, Symbiosis College of Arts and Commerce, thank you all for making time to join us today as we talk about dynamism in human market today and tomorrow. I would like to repeat the instructions before we begin. Attendees should fill out the feedback form. Link for the same will be posted later in Q&A box. The link to join tomorrow's session will be available on the website. Please note that certificates will be awarded to the participants who have attended both sessions and have duly filled out the feedback form for both the days. Thank you. And to make sure we are helping you as best as we can on the topic, we have a chat box to source your questions. Feel free to drop your questions on the topic or share your experiences. We'll answer them for you at the end of the session. We had an immensely informative session about the great churn by Ms. Suchita Singh Basu. Thank you, ma'am, for that great talk. It was a pleasure listening to you. Moving forward to our next session, we'll talk about work-life balance. No one on his deathbed ever said that I wish I had spent more time at the office. With the increasing remote work culture in India, young professionals are facing many difficulties in maintaining a healthy work-life balance. So let's dive into the topic. It is with immense pleasure that I introduce our next guest speaker, Dr. Arpita Kaul, currently working an assistant professor at Sri Venkateswara College, Delhi University. Dr. Arpita Kaul is an assistant professor at Sri Venkateswara College. Ma'am has been teaching for more than 12 years now and an active researcher for more than a decade. Dr. Arpita has published numerous research papers in national and international journals and has also presented her papers at international conferences on important topics such as global recession, human transformation and art of living, organizational development, management, and many more of HR-related important aspects. Awarded gold medal twice by Zenit Istvan University, Hungary, she has coordinated the extended tour Slovakia, Czech Republic, and Austria as a part of 10th International Conference, United Nations. She has been associated with a project called E-Pathshala, project by UGC on e-content. She has worked on development for PG courses in commerce subject under NME-EICT Government of India as a content writer, and she has published books, training and development and human resource management. Now, without further ado, we'll turn the time over to Dr. Arpita Kaul. Over to you, ma'am.
A very good
Yeah, you're audible, ma'am.
All right. So first of all, before I start, I think I'll be paying my duties if I do not thank the presenters, the organizers of this national webinar. I am really thankful to the Department of Commerce, Symbiosis College of Arts and Commerce, Savitribai Phule University, for inviting me to this national webinar on dynamism in the human market today and tomorrow. I would also like to thank the principal, Dr. Rishikesh Soman, the principal, Dr. Tessie, and the other coordinators like Ms. Tripti, Dr. Yogini, and the student coordinator, Suhani, who has been in touch with me for some days. So before I start, I'll just share my screen and you can let me know if it is visible. Just give me a second. Yeah, is the slide visible, everyone? Can anybody just confirm the slide is visible to you?
It is.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. So the topic assigned to me is work-life balance, a very, very, dear to me. This topic is very, very dear to me. And as we move and progress, we will understand what does it mean, how has it changed over the years, especially because of COVID. For past 20 decades, I think it has been a very, very important topic. But in the last 2 years, it has become all the more important. Because of the pandemic, we all have been working from home. Specifically, if I talk about the women who have been working at home, it's been really, really challenging for them, since they not only have to take care of the work being assigned to them by the bosses from home, they have to take care of their children. While they're doing their work in one room, their children are taking their classes in another room. And then you have the household chores and so on. The pressure has been immense. So before I start my presentation, I would like to show you a video. Do let me know if the audio is there or not, okay? I'll just play it, just give me a second. After I end this, I will be asking you a few things, okay? And basically, I will be asking you, what did you actually understand from this song? Okay, so let's start. That's what I wanted to check actually from here, if the audio will be visible. Just give me a second. Now, press for the sharing of the audio, since in Google Meet and Teams, we have that different button. Do you have it here also in WebEx? Any idea? Any technical person who could help me with that? Because I can see it's playing. Yeah, go on, go on.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. So when there'll be an option to share the screen,
Yeah.
you will have to convert it to share screen with audio and video.
All right, just hold on. Let me check if I can do that. Stop sharing and then maybe. Yeah, okay, now I'm going to do it. So it's giving me an option of screen, show me in front of presentation, and I think I've automatically optimized this one. I think I need. Yeah, I think now it should be audible. Just give me a second.
Why would anything be wrong? I'm totally fine. Magic's fine. Luisa's fine. A strong one. I'm not nervous. I'm as tough as the crust of the earth is. Okay. I move mountains. I move churches. And I glow because I know what my worth is. Of course. I mean, hey, where are you going? I don't ask how hard the work is. Got a rough, indestructible surface. Diamonds and platinum, I find them, I flatten them. I take what I'm handed, I break what's demanded. But under the surface, I feel berserk as a tightrope walker in a three-ring circus. Under the surface, was Hercules ever like, yo, I don't wanna fight Cerberus? Under the surface, I'm pretty sure I'm worthless if I can be of service. A flaw or a crack, the straw in the stack that breaks the camel's back. What breaks the camel's back? It's pressure like a drip, drip, drip that'll never stop. Whoa. Pressure that'll dip, dip, dip till you just go pop. Whoa. Give it to your sister's older. Give her all the heavy things we can't shoulder. Who am I if I can't run with the ball? If I fall to pressure like a grip, 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 and it won't let go. Whoa. Pressure like a tick, tick, tick till it's ready to blow. Whoa. Give it to your sister's stronger. See if she can hang on a little longer. Who am I if I can't carry it all? If I falter under the surface, I hide my nerves and it worsens. I worry something is gonna hurt us under the surface. The ship doesn't swerve as it hurt how big the iceberg is under the surface. I think about my purpose. Can I somehow preserve this? Line up the dominoes, the light wind blows. You try to stop it, topple it, but on it goes. But wait, if I could shake the crushing weight of expectations, would that free some room up for joy or relaxation or simple pleasure? Instead we measure this growing pressure. Keeps growing, keep going, 'cause all we know is pressure like a drip, drip, drip that'll never stop. Whoa. Pressure that'll tip, tip, tip till you just go pop. Whoa. Give it to your sister, it doesn't hurt, and see if she can handle every family burden. Watch as she bubbles and bends but never breaks. No mistakes, just pressure like a grip, 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 and it won't let
Okay, so I hope you can hear me, everyone. So, what did you understand from this video? You can write in the chat box or unmute yourself. Since it's going to be an interactive session, it's better I get answers from you. Yeah. So, what does this video tell you? Anyone? Do I have any answers? No answers? This video is a cartoon to tell you what is happening with us every single moment. When we are at office, or let's say you are in college, you are thinking about, yeah.
It shows about like the pressure she's having from her pressure she's getting, and like how she's trying to stay calm and act like if there's no pressure, and like do her work normally, and like balance her work and like.
Right, correct. So basically, she's trying to hide what she's feeling inside her by performing to whatever responsibilities are expected from her by the family or the outside world. And all of us keep on doing that. You, as a student, are giving into the pressure of your studies, what your professors are expecting from you. You're giving into the pressure of your parents, what your parents are expecting from you. And we are also performing different roles as as a working woman, as a mother, as a wife. There are so many roles that we have to play. Now, this video was just a fun way to show you something which is very, very serious. And I'll be moving on to the next slide. Just give me a second. Yeah. So there's this research by monster.com, and I have picked up 3 of the major findings from this research, which tell us that 60% of Indian working professionals surveyed rate their current work-life balance average to terrible. So more than majority feels that their work-life balance is not even, what do you call, good, or it's somewhere average to terrible. Imagine the situation. About half of the respondents in relationships currently confessed that the lack of work-life balance makes them or their partners irritable or ill-tempered. So how it's like when you from work and you want to spend some quality time with your child, or when you were actually at home for the last 2 years where you had to work also and your child was with you all the time, you used to get so irritated, and because of the pressure that you had from work, since there was an urgent need to be available 24/7 online. There will be a meeting at any time, and you cannot say no since you're working from home. Everyone is working from home. So you will have to attend the meeting. And at the same time, you would like to spend some time with your child. And when actually you're spending that time with your child, all you're doing is scolding him, because whatever is in your mind is only related to work, not having some fun with your child. 75% of the respondents have said that their workplace doesn't have a separate work-life balance policy. The sad part is that the organizations now, I would say, are thinking about this, but this study was somewhere in 2019. 75% felt that there was actually nothing that the organization was doing to help employees to maintain a work-life balance. Now, what is this work-life balance? If you have a look at this picture, there are 2 sides of the same person, I would say, and they divide it into work and life. Although I disagree with this. Now we are in this era where actually there's nothing known as work-life balance, but work-life integration. Anyway, let's talk about the work-life balance first. So the left side, if you see, is the person spending time at work, busy in preparing presentations, going for networking visits, doing overtime in order to increase the profit and sale of the company. On the other hand, the right side, which they call life, I'm not sure how can you call it life if work is not a part of it. Actually, work should be a part of life. Anyway, so now when we talk about life, they're talking about your health. You all know health is wealth, and COVID has made us realize this. All of us realize it, that how important health is. All of us have actually lost some or the other near or dear one. And hence we understand that health is definitely very, very important. And if you actually don't focus on your health, I'm going to, as we move on and progress in the presentation, talk about how exercise helps you. So if you don't focus on that key, you are going to be of no use to the society, to the organization, to your children. So it's better to first take care of yourself and then take care of the others. Now, if I talk about life, it also talks about the time you spend with your family, hobbies. Somebody has a hobby of singing, dancing, or maybe cycling, and so on. Refreshing yourself, spending some quality time with your kids. Now, it is so difficult. You have around 24 hours, out of which maybe, let's say, take out 8 hours for sleeping. Whatever is left is so less that you don't understand that how am I going to manage my work also? How am I going to manage my child also? How am I going to make sure that he's studying? How am I going to make sure that he understands what he's doing and he becomes a better person? So we are really in a flux right now. Similarly, I mean, it's the same thing, but what we are trying to understand here is how do we balance it? So it's like you have obviously seen an electronic balance, you've seen a weighing machine. When you go to a vegetable seller, how he weighs the vegetables. Similarly, how much portion of your time are you going to, or are you willing to spend on work, or are you willing to spend on your kids? Having said that, I must point it out, in organizational behavior, we do understand that no two individuals are alike. Obviously, somebody might have a greater threshold for stress and pressure, while on the other hand, you might have somebody who has a lesser threshold for stress. So for them, it's going to be different. How are you going to manage? We will talk about that. Now, certain things that nowadays, the initiatives that the companies have been taking are one of the most important thing is the crutches. They are available in places like IBM, Ernst & Young, HUL, and many, many more organizations. The idea is, since both the parents, women, men, both are working, and now we know because of urbanization, there are only nuclear families that we have. So there's no one to take care of your children. So the idea is to have a crutch where you can take your child to this crutch, which is in your office only, and you don't have any tensions in your mind that, what is my child doing? You can actually go out and check what is he actually doing. Is he in a safe environment or not? So that helps you to maintain a work-life balance. That is, when you're at work, you're concentrating at work only. And when you are at home, you're concentrating at home only. So when this definitely very, very important, and actually not many, but all organizations should have this. Secondly, the gymnasium in HCL or many other companies as well. Like I'm again and again saying, health is so important, and we have realized that health is so important. So if we cannot just take out maybe 15 to 20 minutes or half an hour from our busy schedule to take care of our own health, then it's very sad. It is actually very sad. I'm sure you can take out half an hour or 1 hour to do Facebook, Insta, to watch these reels. But how does that help you? Does that rejuvenate you? Does that make you any better? Does that increase your dopamine level? No, it does not. But when you take care of yourself in terms of maybe going to a gym or doing certain exercise in your daily schedule, it increases your dopamine level. It increases these hormones, which are actually the happy hormones, which will make you more energetic for the rest of the day. You can take care of your family also, and you can take care of the work being assigned to you also. Another new concept that has come up, I mean, the previous two were actually old, bereavement leave in Adobe and other organizations also. Now, what is this bereavement leave? Bereavement leave is the leave which is being given to you to grieve for a loss or a death of a near or dear one. So they specify in their policy that within a year, 20 days of bereavement leave, whereby the death or the loss of someone starting from your own parent or your spouse's parent or your child, in case of that, you're given this leave. So this bereavement leave is actually playing a bigger role. In the sense, earlier you will have to think about that, can I take a leave and grieve for the loss? We don't even have time to grieve for the loss that we are going through. But organizations like Adobe have made it possible, which again helps you to balance your life. Another one is rejuvenation. Again, something very recent, which is like earlier what used to happen was that you have these casual leaves, you have these medical leaves, you have these earned leaves, and where you can also, to a certain extent, accumulate your leaves and at a later point in life can get the encashment of the leaves. Now, what is happening? Even people have realized that money is not so important as much as, the what you call health is. So what is this rejuvenation leave is compulsorily mandatory 10 to 15 days of leave they give you. And what do you do in these 10 to 15 days of leave is entirely up to you. You don't have to come to office. You can go for a vacation with your family. You can spend time with your family. You can do whatever kind of courses you want to do for your health upliftment or personal development or so on. So that is rejuvenation leave. Another one, the paternity leave. We understand that nowadays the joint family system doesn't really exist. So it's only the nuclear family system that is there. And hence, it becomes very difficult for a new mother to take care of her children. Yes, she's given a maternity leave, but then along with her, when the father is given a paternity leave, which is usually around 15 days or so, then it becomes very, very supporting for the new mother to take care of the child. Even for the father to connect with the new child, it helps him maintain his work-life balance. So it's not only about that a man is supposed to just go out and be the breadwinner of the family. That's not how it is. That's not how it is anymore, right? So therefore, for them, if we are saying that females can go out and work, similarly, we are saying that males can stay at home and take care of children also. So when they have become fathers, it is their equal responsibility, and not only responsibility, they also deserve to have the joy of spending time with their newly born, right? So again, that gives me a feeling, if my organization is providing me this advantage, that okay, my organization has helped me in the time I needed it the most. I also have a this creates employee engagement. That is, what is engagement, by the way? Engagement is when you wear a ring and you believe that you're going to spend the rest of your life with this other person. Similarly, employee engagement is you get engaged to your organization, you trust your organization, you're loyal to your organization, and you want to spend the rest of your career with that organization. So it's a two-way street. If the organization is doing it for you, you are also doing it for the organization. Having said another one, these are again old ones, flexi time. So you all must be aware, it's no longer, that you have to be on a 9 to 5 job. No, it's a possibility that they give you an option of having a flexible schedule. Like there can be a compulsory time between 9 to 5, let's say 11 to 2, everyone has to be there in the office. But for the rest of the timings, you can change your schedule. In the sense, let's say it's more comfortable for me to go to office at 11. So rather than 9, I go at 11. So add up 2 more hours after 5. That means I have to be at office till 7. So this way, I decide. Or if somebody else, let's say, wants to, do something like whatever changes you can make your schedule flexible. Okay. Next is work from home. Although it was a boon which was started some decades ago, whereby the idea was that a person can sit at home, take care of his family duties also. Let's say your son is not well, a father wants to take a day off, but he cannot take a day off. So he works from home. He takes care of the child also. And at the same time, he's working also. He's available for work also. But the last 2 years, 2020 onwards, work from home kind of became a bane rather than a boon, whereby you had to be at home and at the same time you had to be available for work. At the same time, you had to be available for your child. So it was really too much. And now there was a survey I was reading where it was said that 40% or so of the employees are saying that if the organization doesn't give them an option of a hybrid mode where they can work from home and maybe a few days they have to go to office, they might leave their job. Now this has become so comfortable. Although I remember some 1 year back, we were all cribbing, oh my God, when is it going to open? We are too sick of sitting at home. And the moment it opens, we are like, no, it was better to work from home only. That's human mind. That's resistance to change. This will keep on happening. And at this point, I would like to make a very, very positive point here. That is, change is the only constant. So if you do not change, it's also said change or die. Just like Charles Darwin said, survival of the fittest. The species kept evolving according to the climate, and they are the ones who evolved, adapted, could survive. Similarly, if you would not adapt, then you will also not be able to survive. Just like a product is not able to survive in the market because other competitors bring a better product, how would you survive? So we are going to, by the end of the session, by the way, I'm sure all of you are going to have a toolkit where you're going to have 5 to 6 points of how can you actually maintain this work-life balance. There are something known as brown bag sessions or detox sessions. Oh, I would also like to mention, if in case you would want me to stop in between, or if you have a query, you're free to do that. Okay, you can unmute yourself whenever you like. Don't worry about that. Okay. So brown bag sessions or detox sessions is like, let's say in an organization, every Friday, 5 o'clock, we are going to have a brown bag sessions where everyone is going to sit together, maybe on the bean bags, an informal kind of a session, whereby anybody who is facing any kind of issue can, come up in the open and talk about it. So idea is to detox. And others are very, very common in banks because there the pressure is huge, and the call centers is the get-togethers and the parties. So you get together, you go out for picnics. The organization organizes it. All the money is being spent by the organization. You don't have to spend a single penny. So they do have weekend parties also in order to make you feel that even the organization is doing something for you. So it's not only you who's doing something, you are doing it for each other. Employee wellness programs, companies like Coca-Cola are having employee wellness programs, like Procter & Gamble are having employee wellness programs, whereby they have employee assistance programs, like counseling sessions are being arranged for employees. Wherever they have a problem, they can actually, meet this counselor that they have, or they also call them as mental health first aiders. In P&G, they call them mental health first aiders. So all these companies, Nestle, etc., have these employee wellness programs where they will be sponsoring your maybe some courses that you join in yoga, meditation, not full, maybe 50% of the fees, or your gymnasium membership fees, they can sponsor, the company can sponsor. So all these are there. Not only this, Coca-Cola also offers a 15-day adoption leave, by the way. So again, it's just a way to keep you, happy. But ultimately, it's you who decide, who make the choice. I'll come to that part also. Finally, the meditation and yoga program. By the end of my presentation, I have a small 5-minute meditation plan for all of you, and we'll see how it helps you. Okay. So we move on now. These were certain initiatives by different organizations, like I have mentioned, IBM, Ernst & Young, Coca-Cola, etc. All right. Has seen the percentage of organized about 60% in 2014 to 75% in 2016. That's a good sign. But though companies are doing something, still, if you read the heading and look at the picture here, mental health may hurt India to the tune of $1.03 trillion. So the situation is very, very grim, my friends. Mental health conditions, and it's not only in India, by the way, are the second biggest cause of absences from work. So the absenteeism rate goes up as depression or stress increases, and results in the loss of, obviously, you are of no, there was a line in this song where she said, I feel that if I'm of no service, I'm of no use. So similarly, when tomorrow you're not going to pay any attention to your health, you're going to be of no service to the organization, you're going to be of no service to your children. So you have to decide. The time is right now that you decide whether you should take charge and decide, how do I plan my day? How do I do my things? And so on. Like, I understand you're all students here, maybe. So if I'm catering to the students, for them, I have this thing like, many a times you feel that, okay, this is our syllabus. Our examination is going to begin in May. So we are going to start on 10th of May to study the syllabus. And then when 10th of May comes, the pressure is immense. You remember something, you forget something. Had you been proactive enough and been studying together with your lectures, it would have been easier, right? So the problem is, ultimately, It's you. The ball is in your court. It's not even in the organization's court, but your court. Okay. So I am warning you, and so is everyone, the media and everyone. So forewarned is forearmed. So if you know that this is how it's going to turn out, it's better we take command of our own body, of our own soul, and decide how are we going to work. So the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. I don't know how many of you do this, but I do it every day. How many of you get up in the morning and make a to-do list? Do you do that? Anyone? One of the biggest takeaways of today's presentation is going to be getting up in the morning, the first thing, or maybe not the first thing, second or third thing, you get up, you do your brush and have a bath or so, and take out your organizer or diary, so you call it, and write down the to-do list. These are the things that I have to do today. Or maybe a weekly planner can help. And it can really help very well. And it's not only I'm telling you that you need to jot down about your professional front in that. Your personal life also, how much time are you going to spend with your child? What are you going to do with your child? So that is very, very important. You need to prioritize, but to schedule your priorities. What are your priorities? What is the most important thing? Put it on schedule. This was something that started out the urgent, important quadrant. And I really want you to do it if you can right now. It'll be great if you can just catch hold of a register and a pen and just draw a diagram. I'll explain it to you first. And then maybe in your own life, you out what goes into the first quadrant, what goes into the second quadrant, and so on. So President Eisenhower in 19 somewhere around 55, I guess, went to the Northwestern University, and he said there are only two types of work, that is urgent and important. Although he said that whatever is urgent is not important, whatever is important is not urgent. But later on, Stephen Covey, in his book of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talked about this quadrant right in front of you, and it's very effective quadrant. Though there are some other dimensions that have been added to it, we'll talk about that. Let's understand this quadrant. So we have urgent and not urgent. We have important and not important. I hope you are all jotting it down, because I really want you to analyze in your life. Think about, I'm giving you 1 minute. Think about all the tasks that you do in a day, starting with brushing your teeth, or maybe going to college, attending your lectures, watching movie on Netflix, and so on. Okay, so take 1 minute. Just let me know when can I start. You can write down all the activities that you do in a day, please. And just let me know when can I start. Can I begin? All right. So let's see, the first one here is, just a second. Just a quick check. Am I audible, everyone? You're on the same page as me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So, it's a little difficult online when you really don't see who's on the other side and whether they are listening to you or not. Anyway, so the quadrant one is the urgent and important. This is that task that is very, very urgent, needs to be done right now, and it's important also. You can't just leave it, okay? You have to do it. Please understand, this kind of a situation only arises if you have not been doing your homework well. In the sense, like I said, I gave you the example where you have your examination in May and your classes are already happening, but you're not spending any time reading what you are, studying and learning and so on. So you're just having fun. And then your exam is on 11th of May and it's now 9th of May. And you don't have any other option. You have to study. That's the urgent and important thing, right? Now, why did this come here? ये quadrant 1 में पहुंचा कैसे? क्योंकि you did not schedule it in quadrant 2. Now, what is quadrant 2? It is not urgent. It's not urgent. ऐसा नहीं कि भाई एग्जाम तो मई में है और अभी जनवरी चल रहा है, तो अभी एकदम जरूरी नहीं है, अर्जेंट नहीं है, एकदम डेडलाइन नहीं है इसको करने की. लेकिन it is important, obviously, right? You have to pass at least. Let me assume that. So, because you did not schedule it, it should have been in quadrant 2. You brought it into quadrant 1. So now you have no option. It becomes a crisis management situation. You have to deal with it. So it deals with crisis management, reduce time spent in this quadrant by doing more work in quadrant 2. Things should not really actually come to this quadrant. Only those things come here which are like unexpected. You know, sometimes obviously it does happen. Kahin achanak se we get an order from the principal that, okay, this is the activity, we have got it from the UGC, we have to do it, right? And we have to do it tomorrow. So it's urgent and important. We don't have an option. We could not schedule it because we did not know it will happen. So things which just come all of a sudden and are very, very important. But had you scheduled the things which were already there, they will never come to quadrant 1. So you should reduce the quadrant 1. You should schedule the quadrant 2. What is schedule? Involves future planning through strategic thinking, and it requires initiative, and you need to spend more time here. Like, what did I say? I said, make a to-do list every day, or maybe in the beginning of the week. Get it? So to-do list is very important. Quadrant 3. This is not important, but this is urgent. So any task that I get from the principal, now I know that my skill is not required in this, but this task can be done by my subordinate. So what do? I don't waste my time on that. I delegate it to my subordinate. So empower your team by assigning tasks in this quadrant. Enable your team to do independent decision making. Okay, now here the problem is many leaders, so to say, or bosses are like, I can't delegate. इसको समझाना पड़ेगा, इसको आता नहीं. The bosses who don't trust their team. So what do? आप खुद ही करने लग जाओगे. अब आप जब खुद ही करने लग जाओगे तो वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस तो कहाँ से आएगा? आपको हर चीज में ही जाना है, ठीक है? फिर अब आपको अपनी फैमिली के साथ भी टाइम स्पेंड करना है, तो वो नहीं हो सकता. Right? You have to make the choices that what is worth your time. Okay, so you have to do that. You have to delegate. And as a leader, I have been teaching leadership and team development for quite some time now. And as a leader, you should always even try to identify what kind of a follower do you have. Like, for instance, let me give you an example. You have a follower who is very able and very willing. In the sense, he has all the skills and abilities. He can do all the tasks. You're very confident. You really trust him. And he's willing also. He's well motivated also. Now you can delegate him the tasks. Obviously, there is no issue. But let's say on the other hand, you have somebody who is not at all able. He doesn't have the skills to perform a task and he is not even willing. ना तो उसको आता है कैसे करना है, ना वो करना चाहता है, ना वो सीखना चाहता है. But obviously you're paying him. You will get work done from him. How will you get that done from him? Anybody? What is the leadership style that will suit you for this kind of an individual who is unable and unwilling? Any idea? Autocratic style, telling style. So that's how it is. So if I have a 3-year-old child, I can't expect him to write a paragraph. I will have to instruct him how he has to write, how he has to make A, how he has to make B. I have to give him time, right, to learn that. So definitely a style of leadership is going to actually depend on the follower rather than saying that this is my style and this is the only style I know. A good leader is who changes his style with his followers, with the conditions. So you need to delegate here. And the last one is the of no use. These tasks are of no use, like not urgent and not important. Watching Netflix, watching Amazon Prime, Instagram, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. How much of it is going to help you? You really need to do it. So these are the tasks you need to declutter. That is, eliminate tasks that do not align with company's mission and goals and learn to say no to them. But here I would like to make a point. Now you might say, मतलब मैम आप ये कह रहे हो, एक तरफ से तो आप कह रहे हो कि वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस मेंटेन करो, दूसरी तरफ से कह रहे हो नेटफ्लिक्स भी मत देखो, ये भी मत करो, वो भी मत करो, बस काम ही करते रहो, राइट? सो नो, that is why Ankur Warikoo recently added a third dimension to this urgency and importance and time dimension. That how much time is it going to take? For instance, let's say if you have to watch a movie on Netflix and it is 3 hour long, right? So are you going to do it? So right now you don't have exam over your head. There is time. You can manage this time and maybe you will feel relaxed because of that. You can do that, right? So definitely it's an older version. It has improved. So this brings me to the point here that the bad news is time flies. It's true. Time flies. रेत की तरह है, जितना उसको हाथ में बंद करने की कोशिश करोगे उतना फिसलेगा, राइट? But the good news is you are the pilot. Why is time flying? Because you are doing Instagram while you could have spent that time on LinkedIn connecting with a future employer, right? So you made that choice. You have 24 hours, I have 24 hours, your classmate has 24 hours. Why is it he is able to do? Because you made that choice. Nobody forced you to go on Facebook. Nobody forced you to sleep for 10 hours. Right? 6 to 7 hours of sleep is enough, more than enough. Okay. So, therefore, the ball is in your court. You have to decide. Definitely, organizations are doing a lot now, since they also realize that if we do not do anything, we are going to lose our good talent. And it's going to be difficult to spend so much money on recruiting and training. And then again, we are going to lose them because the culture that we are providing them of working 24/7 is obviously not healthy. A machine which works for like 5 to 6 hours, that also needs oiling, right? That also needs maintenance. So do you as human beings. This body is a machine only. Why do you need to brush your teeth in the morning and the evening? Let's not brush our teeth 30 days. Let's use the 2 minutes for something important. No, we cannot do that. Why? Because, okay, I'm going to come to this meditation. I'm going to skip this. I'm going to come back to this at the end. Okay, I have one more slide to show you, which is, just a second. So have a look at this. Your life consists of all these things, should consist of all these things. If it does not, then your life is not well balanced, right? If it only has work, you're going to soon have a mental breakdown, right? So it's going to be a mix of family. Sometime you're going to spend with your family, your children, your parents. You're going to call them, you're going to visit them. Sometime you're going to spend on the work. Obviously, major part you're going to spend on your work. You should try to integrate your work into your life. Now, saying work-life balance I really don't believe in it's a work-life balance. It's a work-life integration, because a major part of my life is work. It is work. My work makes me who I am. But I am more than my work, right? I'm a person, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, and I'm an assistant professor. So there are different roles that I'm playing. Now I need to know that where do I need to spend maximum time? Definitely you do spend maximum time here, work somewhere like 8 to 9 hours maybe. And then obviously this work helps you get the money, right? But you need to relax also, because if you are working for 15 hours a day, every day, like I said, you need some oiling, you need some maintenance, you need some free time, you need to go out and watch a movie, you need to spend time with your friends, you need a social support, because you're human. Man is a social animal. Maslow also says that you need to have that need for love and belongingness. And finally, the self-realization, where for your personal development, you need to take care of that. Somebody might not reach that level. Everyone has a different level, right? Why am I doing this? I need not do this session. I'm happy with University of Delhi. I need not do this. I'm doing it for my personal development. I feel I like it. I love this work. I feel if I can share my knowledge with you people, it will be so great. I feel I will also improve as a person, as an assistant professor. So that's my personal development. Obviously, everyone wants love life. That's why we get married, right? So all these things are so important. And we need to see that how do we use them. Okay, so let me just go back quickly. I think I do have my 5 minutes. I'm right in time. Am I? The organizers, am I in time? I have 5 minutes, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You have.
Right. So all of you, although I have recorded this meditation, so I would not maybe speak. You can hear what it says. You just have to follow the instructions, and I'll do it along with you. So don't worry. It's a very simple 5-minute meditation. Okay. Make sure your phones are on silent right now, and we're going to start now. Just a second. Just a minute. I haven't played it yet. Just a second. Okay, I think I'll just do it like this.
Sit in a comfortable position. Gently close your eyes. Sit in a comfortable position
and gently close your eyes.
Gently close your eyes. Palms facing the ceiling.
Palms facing the ceiling like this.
And now, take a deep breath in. As you take your breath in, your stomach will expand. Walk the breath. Inhale from your nose and exhale from your mouth.
So inhale from
Let's
your
do it
nose,
4 to
exhale
5
from your
times.
mouth. We'll do it 4 to 5 times.
Feel the prana. There must be some vibrations, especially around your face, that you can feel right now.
Feel the vibrations.
Now take your concentration towards your right foot.
Take your concentration to your right foot.
Keep breathing slowly. Take your concentration to your left foot and keep breathing slowly. Imagine you're sitting on a peace and calm beach.
Imagine you're sitting on a nice, peaceful beach.
All you can hear is the waves.
All you can hear is the waves. Maintain a smile on your face.
Slowly and gently. Concentrate on your breath.
Concentrate on your breath.
Whatever thought is coming in your mind, just accept it. Listen to the chirping of the birds.
Listen to the chirping of the birds.
See if you can feel some vibration in your hands.
You might feel some vibration.
Now take your concentration to your knees.
Whatever thought comes to your mind, accept it.
Take your concentration to your navel. Slowly and gently. At any point in time, if you think about anything, start concentrating on your breath.
Think about anything, just start concentrating on your breath.
Check your concentration on your heart. To the middle of your eyebrows. That's also known as the Agya Chakra. The Agya Chakra, concentrate here. Finally, take your concentration. Crown Chakra, that is at the top of your head. Somewhere here, take a few deep breaths. And now slowly and gently, as in when you feel complete, open your eyes. Okay, so I want you to now quickly, just give me a second. Take your time and open your eyes. I would want you to share what did you feel, and then I'll go on to the last takeaways of the presentation. Yes. Anything that you felt, anybody? Would you like to share? Any vibrations in particular? Anything, it can be positive or negative.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. The meditation was quite calming and relaxing. We literally felt like we are on the beach.
Okay, that's nice. Good. So that's just the power of your mind, actually. You don't really have to physically go and spend so much money to go to Bali. It is actually in your mind. It's all in your mind. Whatever you're feeling, many times you feel that somebody says something to you and you have it in your mind that, how he said this to me. It's like I said, you are the pilot. It's how you think. It's about you. And the key takeaways, before you answer to me, I should give you a few key takeaways. The first one is exercising every day. So if you don't, and all you do is maybe sit in front of the laptop, you go out, spend time with your friends, see some Netflix and all. So these posture that we are in the sense we are in front of the laptop, that's physically going to harm us. Vertigo and these kind of problems are going to harm us. So the only way out is you should, when you get up in the morning, at least spend some time, whatever time, little time you can take out, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes or so on, not more than that. So maybe you can exercise or maybe you can go out for a walk, especially in the morning, because that's the time when it's, not the pollution and all is not at its high. We are in Delhi. So, I mean, I am in Delhi or not, but I don't know about Pune. So it's difficult. I make sure I do some skipping. I make sure I do some meditation or so on, so that the rest of your day is, easy. Because there are going to be moments when you're going to be irritated, maybe because of the child you have, maybe because of the boss you have, and so on. So it's ultimately you're going to hamper your own self if you don't take care of your own body, like I said. So the first thing is exercise. Secondly, to make a to-do list, maybe a weekly list and definitely a daily to-do list. So what is it that I have to do today? And once you make that list, you realize that, okay, this is the most urgent thing. I must do this. And then only the next thing. This is not important. Like, I'll give you an example. So a few days back, I was talking to my husband and I was telling him, there's a lot of work I need to do. So in my college, the internal examination is going to begin from, I think I spoke to him on Friday about it. It's going to begin from Monday. So the Monday, yesterday that went. So I have to prepare some question papers and I have a presentation with some biases. So I have to make the presentation and, other NAC related work our college is going through. So I'm a part of the criteria. So I have to do that. So I was like, there's a lot of things I have to do. So I just sat and I thought, okay, so examination is going to begin Monday. That needs to be done first. The presentation is on Tuesday. That can come afterwards. And this is how I plan my day. So similarly, what you have to do, remember the urgent, important, what do you call, matrix. We didn't have time. Otherwise, we could have done that. You can all do that. You have that toolkit with you now. And definitely, it is important that you spend time, obviously for us, spending time with our kids and spouses, and for you, people like you, definitely I'm sure you do spend time with your friends, but it's equally important to spend time with your parents
I'm not sure how much time are you spending with your parents. Maybe you're living away from them, but at least you can call them daily for 5 minutes. How long will it take, right? They'll feel nice. And if you're staying with them, but you are in your own room, they are in their own room, and you're actually messaging each other that, okay, zara idhar aana. That's what is happening today. So the depression rate is increasing because we are not physically connected. We are connected technologically. And that's very, very difficult, very, very challenging. So Facebook पे आपको कौन कितनी likes देता है, it's not going to help you. Okay, so you're living in a sham. Please understand that. Having said that, technology does have its advantages. We have to learn. We have to take the advantage of it. It's the advantage that I am with you right now. Otherwise, I would not be there. From Delhi, I would not come to you and be able to give you a lecture, interact with you. You must accept every coin has two sides. So we have to see, we have to take the positives. And finally, learn to say no. Not everything that anybody is telling you, you need to do that. You need to measure that. Can you do that? Do you have the time for that? Is it important for you? And obviously there are power politics. You have to take care of that also. Diplomacy and manipulation is something that's there. Maybe some other time when I meet you, I'll talk about that. Last of all, time management, prepare your schedule. I tell my 7-year-old daily to prepare a schedule. What do you want to do now? Do you want to do puzzle? Do it. Do you want to watch TV? Do it. Do you want to study? Okay, no, you don't want to do it right now. You want to go for biking right now? Let's do it. But let's let's manage our time. So we need to manage that this much I'm going to spend here and so on. Finally, the last to say, and which is going to be a little challenging maybe, like I said, the topic was work-life balance, but I always say it is work-life integration. You need to integrate your work and your life. Work is a part of your life. The last pie chart you saw, there was work, right, in your life. There is social, family, and so on. And lastly, I will end up by saying my work-life integration. I have an example for you. When I was offered to come for this lecture, so I had my classes today, okay? And so I was like, how will I manage it? Somehow it so happened, I took my permission from the principal. I was given the permission, and also somehow it so happened that the internal examination was colliding with this period. So I told them that I have a Thursday off. I said, you give me a Tuesday off. I'll come on Thursday and I'll do my duties. So it's not that, I'm taking a 2-day off. I get an off, right? On Thursday. You don't give me on Thursday. You give me on Tuesday. Just do some adjustment. Since my school knows I work, she knows I am a good employee. But you have to be a good employee. Otherwise, nobody will do this for you. And then what happened is, my son was supposed to go today. He wasn't supposed to go to school for a long time now. But yesterday, I got a call from his class teacher saying that, we have an orientation program, so we want him to host. So you send him to school. So I'm like, okay, but I have this, these engagements and all. How do I go about it? She says, okay, ma'am, doesn't matter. You come and pick him up at 2 o'clock. That's a different story. I got to know that we are preponing my session. Works for me. So, if you are positive, I'm sure positive things are going to happen to you. And with that, I will end my presentation here. I'm open for Q&A. Thank you.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Definitely implementation of those quadrants which you explained about will be important. And I can relate myself with that latter part about family you told. Like definitely, and meditation helped us. It was quite calming. And moving on to the question and answer session, I like to call upon a few. I'd like to call upon my fellow mate for the questions. Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you for your session. It was absolutely inspiring, and I think we've got to know about a lot of new things that we can implement. And relating to this topic, I have a question. So, if due to the pandemic, an employee is offered two options: first, work from home throughout, and second, work from office throughout, what should one choose and why? And also, will it have contrary answers for different genders?
Yeah, it will. See, it will all depend on your individual situation. In the sense, like you said, I'm assuming it's the pandemic, and in pandemic, you have to make a decision. So I am assuming that it's pandemic. If you have children, in the sense, if you have kids, they're going to be at home, and you have to think about them, right? And if you go to office, where do you keep them? Do you have the support system? If you do, you keep them there, and you can go for going to office and taking that option. But then it's going to be depending on your situation. If you don't have any such support system, you will have to take the option of working from home. Although I have said that working from home for 2 months, 3 months, it was enjoyable. But that definitely, obviously, the pressure was so much. We have also not spent so much time with our children, so it was a little difficult. But then we got used to it, and then we were asked to come back. When we came back, our students also were a little skeptical to come back. But like I said, human nature is resistance to change, right? So at the first instance, whenever a change comes, you question it. Yeah, why? Why is it happening? That's okay. You should. You are a human being. You have a mind of your own. You can question. But you have to see that is that going to help me? If it is going to help me, then it's better that you be the first one to change, being the pioneer of the change. I'll give you an example. When the pandemic started in 2020 March, so suddenly we were like, how are we going to teach our children and all? I was the initiator in my college to go online and start teaching. I was the one who trained, not our faculty, but faculty all across India, how to teach on Google Meet, how to teach on MS Teams, and so on. There was a vast class of teachers who didn't want to do it. They were like, face-to-face interaction is must. We cannot do it online. It's not possible. But when the situation is such, it was a crisis situation. We could not afford to not teach you online, and for 2 years you will be nowhere. You'll not have a career. But at least we managed to change. So my only thing is, I think the future belongs to those who learn, unlearn, and relearn. For your generation, it is very important to be open to learning the new skills. Whatever you're learning in your university, it might be old the month you enter organization, right? So definitely it'll give you certain precedences, certain cases, but situations are going to change. Who knows? What are we going to have in June? Corona, Morona, I don't know. We don't know. But we have to be prepared for that. So see, it's going to variate from individual to individual, like we say in organizational behavior. It's no two individuals are alike. Their situations are different. And accordingly, you'll have to make the best of the situation.
Right, ma'am, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Your session was really insightful and gave us a lot of food for thought. Now, being a second year college student, I completely agree with the point of strategizing your time plan and making a timetable for yourself. But like I saw this happening in front of my eyes when we were in lockdown. So, for example, there's a woman who's also a working woman and she's a mother. Now she has a child and it's office hours going on and her child is crying, so she cannot obviously ignore her child because that's unfair to the child. Like, so how do we, and because we're in a pandemic, she cannot like call somebody over who can take care of the child on her behalf. So how does she manage her time, and like how can she increase her work life balance without deteriorating the childhood of her child?
Yes. So there comes the answer. It's not work-life balance here. In such a situation, it's work-life integration.
So you don't have an option. Obviously, you will not keep your child on the bed crying. You do have an option of, holding your child close to your body, where, I mean, that's the special advantage that a mother has. That's how the child connects with you. And at the same time, and what is multitasking? That's what multitasking is, where you are actually working on your laptop and the child is close to you. You have that advantage. You didn't have that advantage when you were at work. The child will be crying at home. You will not come to know what your maid is doing with that child. Do you know that? No, you don't know that. So you have that advantage. I mean, you can't just crib all the time. You have to understand and adjust accordingly. What is multitasking? Multitasking is what a housewife also does. When she knows that my husband has to leave at 8 o'clock in the morning, the lunch should be prepared. So on one gas, she's making the roti, on the other gas, she's making the sabzi. That's multitasking, right? She's doing that. And in the other room, her child is getting ready to go to school. She goes and peeps in and tries to make him wear the shirt and everything. That's multitasking. What happens in each household at 8 o'clock in the morning is multitasking, right? We all do that. So it's just that once it's about work, it becomes so frustrating, so pressurizing. That's why I always say, I mean, you will all be getting placements, right? Please, whenever you go for interviews, show your true self, because if you don't show your true self, whatever job you'll be getting, you might not be able to work on that. So it's better to show your true self and accordingly choose what you love, because then the pressure is going to be less. If you're doing something that you don't love, the pressure is going to be immense. So work-life integration is what you need to work on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your lovely answer.
Ma'am, just one last question. In your session, you have spoken about mental health as well. So, regarding that, I have a situation. So, what if a person who has been working from office for the past 20 years and now suddenly they have been asked to work from home in isolation without human interaction? Now, that would lead to depression. So, how do you think one can cope up with that?
Yeah, right. That is true. Obviously, suddenly you have to change. So, like I said, the most important thing here is two things which are very important is you focus on, when you get up in the morning, you focus on some of the exercises, some of the meditation, because that releases. Why do we say do exercise, do meditation? Because that releases a hormone. It's a scientific logic that we have beyond that, nothing else. It releases dopamine, which increases your happy hormones, which makes you ready for accepting the change. So the only answer you have is, rather than wasting your time on Netflix and so, you spend that time. Okay, you can't exercise for 1 hour. I'm not saying do that. Do it for 15 minutes and see the difference. I don't know, when you were meditating, how many of you felt the vibrations in your hands? So that is what you need to focus on. Also, one very quick thing is, whenever something comes to your mind and you really want to get away from that, right? There is this thought which is pertaining to your mind again and again. Just concentrate on your breath. Breath is the only thing which can connect you to the present moment. You're breathing in the present. It brings you to the present. Grief and worry are two useless emotions. Grief, you grieve about past, you worry about future, but you forget about your present, how beautiful your present is. Concentrate on that. So you have an option. I'm sure, like I said, there are type A personalities, there are type B personalities. For some, it's going to be easy to change. For some, it's going to be difficult to change. For those of you for whom it's going to be difficult to change, that is why I'm again and again saying you should focus on taking, as many experiences in your classes also, in corporates also, whereby you get trained to change. Change is the only permanent thing we have. Nothing else. Nothing is permanent. Neither you, neither me, nobody. Yeah, thank you.
Got it, ma'am. Thank you.
Well, thank you, ma'am. It was pleasure listening to you. And well, time flies, but we would certainly try to be the pilots. And so we could conclude that balance is not something we find, it's something we create. So on this note, I would now like to call upon Dr. Yogini Chipunkar, Head of Department of Business Administration, to give the vote of thanks for the day. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. I hope I'm audible. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. As we come to the end of day one of this 2 days national webinar on dynamism in human market today and tomorrow, I'm honored and privileged to get this opportunity of proposing vote of thanks. We have been fortunate to have eminent speakers from industry as well as academia from the field of HR for this webinar. And I'm sure that the participants must have benefited by attending today's sessions. Before thanking our resource persons for the day, I sincerely thank our chief guest, Dr. Parag Kalkar, Dean, Faculty of Commerce and Management, Savitribai Phule Pune University, for kindly accepting our invitation and gracing the inaugural function. Today we had 2 sessions. The first one was on Great Churn by Suchitra Basu, and in her session, very beautifully she explained the concept of flow or mojo, and the multi-stage life and the 3-stage life model that she explained, we could relate to it so well. So thank you, ma'am, for this very interesting session. The second session that we had today was on work-life balance by Dr. Arpita Kaul. And in her session, rather throughout her session, she highlighted that it is not the work-life balance, but the work-life integration that is more important. She also helped us in classifying our tasks on the basis of urgency and importance of the tasks. And the last, I would like to specially mention here that the meditation session that we all experienced was wonderful. We all experienced tranquility, peace, and very calmness, especially after doing that particular session. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you for very interesting, very insightful, and wonderful session on work-life balance. I would also like to take this opportunity here to thank our principal, Dr. Rishikesh Soman, Vice Principal Ma'am Dr. Tessie Thadatil for their continuous guidance, support, and encouragement. I'm expressing my heartfelt gratitude here to our office and administrative staff, our technical team of Nitin and Nazir sir, and our very, very creative and enthusiastic team of student volunteers who have been working for this particular national webinar. Special thanks and words of appreciation for my 2 departmental colleagues, especially Tripti and Tejaswini ma'am for being a backbone of this 2 days national webinar. And at the end, I thank all the participants for being such wonderful audience. So thank you one and thank you all. So over to you, Tejas, for concluding the session.
Well, thank you, ma'am, for those kind words and a lovely vote of thanks. And I would like to reiterate the instructions before we end the session. We hope you enjoyed the session, and as we are having a 2-day webinar, we'll be having Samir Munja and Sweta Rena as our guest speakers tomorrow. So I request you all to attend the sessions as well. Thank you for being such an amazing audience. See you all tomorrow, and the link for registration is posted in the chat box on YouTube and a feedback form as well.
Thank you. So I'll go off to my work-life integration and pick up my son now. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.